Stop scrolling. For the next few minutes, shut down the autopilot voice that narrates your life and listen to one sentence. Most of what runs you is invisible. You walk into rooms, make decisions, react to stress, chase comforts, and sabotage opportunities, while thinking you're fully conscious. That's the lie. The truth is, the part of you that decides, habit, reflex, automatic belief, sits below the surface. It's waiting, it's powerful, and it's programmable. If you want to change your life, the battlefield is not outside. It is inside the quiet wiring of your mind. This is where the fight is won. What is the subconscious? Don't let the word feel mystical. Think of it as your operating system. You didn't program it with an instruction manual. You inherited tones, patterns, narratives, and default responses from family, culture, repeated experience, and the small choices you made when you weren't paying attention. It's the part of you that remembers how to ride a bike, that warns you when a situation smells like danger, that automatically reaches for sugar when you're tired. It stores images, feelings, associations, and routines. It is the container of your habits, and it runs most of your day. Here's a blunt fact. Your conscious mind is a small, loud passenger. Your subconscious is the driver. You can shout advice from the back seat all you want, but unless the driver changes lanes, your life follows the same road. That's why motivation and willpower fail more often than they succeed, because they try to override an entire operating system with short-lived force. The smarter way is to reprogram the operating system. You've had moments when the subconscious took the wheel. Remember an argument where, in the heat of it, your words surprised you and you later wondered, where did that come from? Or the morning you promised yourself you'd start healthy living, and at lunch you found you'd ordered the same old comfort food without thinking. Those aren't failures of character, they're evidence. Your subconscious is always reading the fastest map. What's familiar, what's safe, what's been reinforced. Changing it requires strategy, not guilt. So where do you begin? Start with what you can actually do today. Practical, simple, and relentless. First practice, self-observation. For 3 days, become a detective of your own life. Carry a small notebook or a note on your phone. Every time you feel a strong emotion, pause and write down 3 things: the trigger, the immediate thought, and the action you took. Don't judge, just record. This is not navel-gazing, it's mapping the hidden circuitry. When you see the pattern, you can start to rewire. Second practice, name the narrative. Underneath many actions, there is a story. I'm not enough. I don't deserve success. I must be perfect to be loved. These are not facts. They are interpretations that sound like facts because they've been rehearsed. Use language to pull them into the light. Say the belief out loud and then ask, is that always true? Where did I learn it? What would happen if the opposite were true? Simple interrogation makes belief conquerable. Third practice, install new images. The subconscious communicates in pictures and feelings more than words. When you imagine a future, don't picture a list of to-dos. Create a sensory-rich scene. The smell, the sounds, the posture, the confidence in your body. Napoleon Hill taught that thoughts are things. Images with emotion attached become magnets. This isn't fluff, it's neuroscience. Repetition of vivid images rewires neural pathways. Give your subconscious a different movie to play at the default volume. Here's a compact exercise you can use right now. For 5 minutes before sleep, visualize one small victory for the next day. See yourself completing a key task. Feel the relief and pride. Hear the ambient sounds. Notice the posture. Repeat it once more with stronger feeling. Sleep is a state when the subconscious is more receptive. Sending a clear, emotionally charged scene before sleep seeds the system. Do this nightly, and the small victory becomes a bias in your favor. Another immediate move: create tiny ritual anchors. Habits shift easiest when they're microscopic at first. Want to write daily? Commit to 1 paragraph. Want to exercise? Do 2 minutes of movement. Want to build focus? Open a timer for 5 minutes and work. When action is tiny, your subconscious doesn't object. Habit follows repetition. Stack the new micro habit onto an existing cue. After my morning coffee, I write 1 paragraph. After I brush teeth, I do 2 minutes of movement. Small wins compound into identity change. You must also become ruthless about what you feed your mind. The subconscious is indiscriminate. It learns from everything. The images, conversations, and patterns you consume shape your internal world. If your inner feed is criticism, blame, and scarcity, the system will believe scarcity. If you feed it possibility, discipline stories, and evidence of capability, even small evidence, it recalibrates. That's why control of inputs matters as much as deliberate practice. Now listen to this. Resistance will show up. Old programs hate being replaced. You'll feel discomfort, pull, and sometimes a childish inner voice sabotaging progress. This is too hard. You don't deserve it. You're just pretending. Expect that. Don't engage in long debates with the resistance. Acknowledge it, then act anyway. The muscle that responds to resistance is built by repeated, fearless, tiny acts. Action erodes fear. You're not trying to become a flawless human overnight. You're building a new operating system, one small update at a time. Think like an engineer. Identify the faulty subroutine, design a new one, test it, measure results, iterate. Keep a log. Celebrate small wins. Tell someone about the experiment. Social accountability matters because the subconscious stores social proof. Now let me be clear about the power you already hold. Earl Nightingale summed it up simply: you become what you think about. That's not a slogan, it's a consequence. Napoleon Hill framed thoughts as the architects of reality. Dale Carnegie reminded us that attention shifts relationships and outcomes. Use those ideas as your tools. They are not gospel. They are practical levers. When you feed your mind with deliberate, vivid, repetitive images and pair them with minimal, consistent behavior, your subconscious will re-anchor to new defaults. Before we move further, here's a sharp checklist for you to use right now. 3 actions you can do in the next 24 hours to begin the reprogramming. Keep a short record for 3 days of triggers, thoughts, actions, just enough to map the pattern. Each night, for 5 minutes, rehearse one small victory in vivid sensory detail before sleep. Pick one micro habit, 2 minutes or 1 paragraph, and anchor it to an existing daily cue. Do those 3 things without overanalyzing. They are small, but relentless repetition is the secret. You don't need motivation, you need a system that replaces old defaults with new ones quietly, beneath the radar of the loud, dramatic part of you. Finally, decide today. Do you want to be piloted by autopilot, or will you become the programmer? Choosing to look under the hood is not dramatic, it's practical. It requires discipline, curiosity, and a refusal to accept inherited scripts. That refusal is the spark. Hold on to it. Use that spark to do the small practices tonight. Plant the image. Write the first line in your log. Take the first micro action. When you're ready, we'll go deeper. How images become habits, how to dismantle limiting beliefs step by step, and how to use states like sleep and ritual to push changes faster. For now, do the work of seeing your invisible driver. It will surprise you how quickly the map begins to change. Part 2. Now that you've started to peek under the hood, It's time to understand how the subconscious actually shapes your reality. This is where most people get it wrong. They think effort alone changes outcomes. It doesn't. Effort without structure is wasted energy. The subconscious doesn't care about effort. It cares about repetition, emotion, and vivid imagery. Every thought, feeling, and sensory impression you repeatedly feed it becomes a pattern, a bias toward that way of being. Your subconscious is like a tape recorder. It doesn't judge, it only records and plays back what's most reinforced. Here's the mechanism in its simplest form: trigger, thought, feeling, behavior. The trigger could be anything: an email, a comment, a glance, a sound. Your thought about it produces a feeling, often instantly. That feeling generates an action, sometimes conscious, often automatic. Over time, repeated loops create habits. That is the architecture of who you are. Every decision you didn't consciously make is shaped by this loop. Understand this, and you see that behavior is just the tip of the iceberg. The real engine is below, silent, invisible, and programmable. Now, take your imagination seriously. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. Picture it. If you imagine doing something repeatedly with intensity, your brain encodes it similarly to real action. That's why elite athletes, performers, and successful entrepreneurs spend hours visualizing performance, interactions, and outcomes. Napoleon Hill called this definiteness of purpose combined with visualization. When you see it, feel it, and immerse yourself in it, the subconscious accepts it as a blueprint. Practical exercise: the loop of images. Pick one skill or habit you want to install. For 10 minutes daily, close your eyes and see yourself performing that skill flawlessly. Add sensory richness. See the environment, hear the sounds, feel the movements, sense the emotions. Repeat this for at least 21 days. Your subconscious begins to code the pattern. Your nervous system, your body memory, even your emotional responses start aligning with the imagined state. Small, consistent mental rehearsal trumps sporadic bursts of willpower. But imagery alone isn't enough. You need emotion, intensity, and repetition. If you imagine a goal but feel lukewarm about it, the subconscious ignores it. Think about the times you were truly scared, excited, or passionate. Your body and mind reacted instantly. That intensity is your lever. Pair mental rehearsal with emotional engagement. The feeling is the fuel. Napoleon Hill didn't just emphasize visualization. He emphasized desire backed by faith. Emotion multiplies the signal, and the subconscious listens. Let's integrate internal dialogue. The words you repeat to yourself throughout the day in private are the scripts your subconscious follows. Most people let negative chatter dominate. I'm not ready, I'll never get it, this is too hard. Stop. Start noticing these loops. Then deliberately replace them with empowering alternatives. Use present tense, positive, concrete statements. I handle challenges with calm and clarity. I take deliberate steps toward my goal. I embody focus and energy. Speak them to yourself, silently or aloud, at least 3 times daily. Your subconscious learns patterns by repetition, not theory. Here's a method Earl Nightingale praised: the mental movie rehearsal. Imagine a scenario in which you already embody the version of yourself you aspire to be. Feel the confidence in your body, the clarity in your mind, the interactions with others, and the outcomes you desire. Watch it daily. The brain encodes these images, and over time, the subconscious starts nudging your behavior toward them automatically. This isn't new age, it's practical psychology reinforced by decades of performance research. Another tool is emotional anchoring. Pair a small physical cue with a desired state: a hand gesture, a posture, a breath pattern. When you repeat the gesture while visualizing a desired outcome, Your subconscious links the cue with the state. Over time, just the gesture evokes the mental state instantly. Athletes do this before performance. Top performers use it before high-stakes meetings. You can too. The principle is simple. Repeated pairings create automatic responses. Now, let's talk about obstacles. Resistance is inevitable. Old patterns are stubborn because your subconscious prefers safety. Familiar patterns, even if harmful. When you try to install a new image, feeling, or belief, your system pushes back. You feel hesitation, discomfort, mental chatter. Accept it. Push anyway. Small, repeated acts, paired with vivid imagery and emotion, gradually overwrite the old patterns. The key is persistence, not intensity. 5 minutes daily, consistently, beats sporadic hours once a month. Here's a compact plan for the next week. Morning, 5 minutes of mental rehearsal for a key goal. Include sensory detail and emotion. Midday, pause 3 times to check internal dialogue, catch negative loops, and replace with empowering statements. Evening, reflect in a short journal about moments when your subconscious guided behavior, intentional or not. Note improvements or missteps. Bedtime, 5 minutes of visualization of small victories for the following day. By structuring input, repetition, and emotion, you harness your subconscious as an ally. What feels like magic is simple cause and effect. Repeated, emotionally charged images create behavior change. It's engineering of the mind, not wishful thinking. The more vivid, emotional, and consistent the input, the stronger the output. Finally, remember, your subconscious isn't moral or judgmental. It doesn't know right or wrong, good or bad. It only knows patterns and repetition. That's why feeding it empowering images, beliefs, and emotions is so potent. You can become deliberate, focused, confident, and resilient, or leave it to run the scripts you inherited. The choice is yours. Today, take the first 3 steps. Notice your internal dialogue, practice vivid imagery, and pair a cue with a desired state. Small actions, massive cumulative effect. Keep the fire alive, because next we'll move into dismantling limiting beliefs and reprogramming the core you that decides without your conscious permission. That's where transformation begins. Part 3. Now we dive into the heart of the matter. Beliefs. Limiting beliefs are the silent dictators of your life. They dictate what you attempt, what you avoid, how you respond to challenges, and even what you believe you deserve. The dangerous part? Most of them live in your subconscious, and you've inherited them unconsciously from parents, society, education, and past experiences. You've been carrying these scripts for years, some for decades, without ever questioning them. But here's the secret. Beliefs are not facts. They are patterns, and patterns can be changed. Step 1. Identification. Catch the beliefs that govern your behavior. Pay attention to automatic thoughts. I'm not capable. I always fail. Success is for others, not me. These statements feel true because they've been repeated, but you are not your thoughts. You are the observer who can interrogate them. Write them down. Seeing them externally strips them of invisible power. Step 2. Challenge. Ask 3 questions. Is this belief objectively true? Where did it come from? And what evidence do I have that the opposite is possible? For example, if you think, I'm bad at public speaking, recall times you spoke successfully, even in small situations. Look for exceptions. Subconscious programming often ignores exceptions until you force awareness. You're creating cracks in the old narrative so new belief can seep in. Step 3. Replacement. Once the limiting belief is exposed, create a new empowering belief. Make it precise, actionable, and present tense. I communicate clearly and confidently. I take deliberate action even under pressure. I learn from every challenge. Pair it with vivid imagery. See yourself in situations where this new belief is true. Feel it in your body. Hear your voice. Notice reactions of others. The subconscious needs both the statement and the sensory proof to accept it. Step 4. Reinforcement. Repetition is the master key. The new belief must be rehearsed daily until the subconscious treats it as the new default. Morning affirmations, midday mental check-ins, evening visualization. Even better, small actions that prove the belief in real life. Micro habits reinforce macro change. If your new belief is, I am resilient, take small risks, endure minor challenges, and notice how you handle them. Each success rewires the subconscious faster than hours of thinking. Practical exercises to embed new beliefs. Morning affirmation plus visualization. Stand, breathe, speak your empowering belief out loud, and imagine living it for 5 minutes. Midday reality check. Note when the old belief tries to influence your decision. Counter it immediately with evidence of the new belief. Evening reflection. Write down 3 ways the new belief showed up in your day. Reinforce the emotional impact. Now let's address internal dialogue. The words you speak inside your mind shape your mental landscape. Napoleon Hill emphasized definiteness of thought. Earl Nightingale reminded us that we become what we think about most. This isn't poetic, it's practical. Every phrase you repeat internally programs the operating system. Catch, I can't, it's too hard, or I always mess up in real time. Replace with precise, positive alternatives. Over weeks, these phrases become automatic cues that guide behavior. Micro experiments are a powerful tool. Pick one limiting belief and design a low-risk scenario to test it. Suppose you believe, I can't lead a team. Take responsibility for a small group project. Monitor outcomes and note success. This real-world feedback reshapes your subconscious faster than hours of self-talk. Micro-experiments build a portfolio of proof, shifting the internal narrative toward empowerment. Another advanced method is rehearsal of the unseen. Visualize scenarios you fear, but with controlled mastery. Imagine speaking confidently to a group, negotiating effectively, or handling criticism calmly. Feel success, hear applause, experience satisfaction. This primes the subconscious to accept the behavior as attainable. Repeat daily, especially when you feel emotional resistance. The stronger the discomfort, the faster the reprogramming. Remember, reprogramming is not instant. Old programs are deeply embedded. They've been reinforced for years. But your new patterns, when repeated with emotional intensity, take root. The subconscious measures frequency, emotion, and clarity, not intention. Action plus emotion plus repetition equals change. Let's talk about reinforcement through micro-actions. Small behaviors, repeated consistently, are what anchor new beliefs. For confidence, speak first in small group discussions. For resilience, endure minor challenges intentionally. For focus, dedicate 5 minutes of uninterrupted attention to a task daily. Each micro-action signals the subconscious, this is reality. This is the new default. Here's a metaphor. Imagine your subconscious as a garden. Old weeds, limiting beliefs, have dominated for years. Pull them out deliberately, replace them with seedlings, new beliefs. Water daily with visualization, attention, and micro-actions. Sunlight is your emotion and intention. In weeks, the garden begins to look different. In months, the new patterns dominate. In years, this becomes the fertile soil for all achievements. Finally, know this. Your subconscious is loyal. Once you guide it, it doesn't complain. It simply executes the programs it has been fed. Use that loyalty strategically. Decide which beliefs deserve reinforcement and which must be uprooted. With precision, patience, and persistent practice, you are not simply changing thoughts, you are redesigning your internal operating system to serve your goals. Today, your task is simple but potent. Identify one limiting belief, challenge it, create a replacement, and perform one micro-experiment that proves the new belief. Then reinforce it with visualization and emotional intensity. This is the core of subconscious mastery, the point where conscious intention meets deep internal rewiring. In the next part, we'll explore how sleep, rituals, and environmental cues accelerate the process, turning intention into automatic excellence. By now, you're starting to understand that the subconscious is your silent co-pilot. But it doesn't just respond to mental rehearsal and beliefs. It's heavily influenced by states, cues, and environment. To harness it fully, you must learn to work with natural rhythms and triggers. Let's start with one of the most underutilized tools: sleep. The moments just before you drift off are incredibly potent. The subconscious is more receptive during this borderline state between wakefulness and sleep. The thoughts and images you entertain now aren't filtered by critical reasoning. They're encoded directly into the system. Practical tip: spend 5 minutes before bed visualizing a positive outcome you want to experience the next day. Make it detailed, see it, feel it, hear it. Add a sensory anchor. Touch your wrist, notice your posture, breathe deeply. This simple practice primes your subconscious overnight. Over time, you'll notice that small victories begin to occur with minimal conscious effort because your subconscious has prepared the groundwork while you rested. Another tool is deliberate ritual. Humans are creatures of habit, and the subconscious thrives on patterns. By creating rituals that signal certain mental states, you can automate success. For example, a short morning routine of stretching, journaling, and visualization signals the brain focus, energy, readiness. Even a 5-minute pre-work ritual can set your entire day on autopilot for productivity and confidence. Anchors like this don't just feel good, they program your operating system. Environmental cues matter too. The spaces you inhabit communicate constantly with your subconscious. Cluttered, chaotic environments produce stress, indecision, and distraction. Organized, intentional spaces reinforce focus, discipline, and creativity. Take control. Arrange your desk, your room, even your phone notifications to minimize friction and maximize the signals you want your subconscious to absorb. Remember, the subconscious doesn't analyze aesthetics. It responds to patterns and associations. A clean workspace signals clarity. A loud phone signals distraction. Let's add the body into the equation. Posture, movement, and breathing are deeply connected to subconscious states. Standing tall with open shoulders, taking controlled deep breaths, and moving deliberately influences confidence, calm, and focus. These physical cues feed back into your subconscious, reinforcing the mental states you desire. Napoleon Hill emphasized that the mind and body operate as a unit. Alter one, and the other follows. Use that principle deliberately. Micro-habits are critical here. These are small, repeatable behaviors that reinforce desired states. For example, every time you enter your workspace, take a deep breath and visualize one successful outcome. Before a stressful conversation, anchor a gesture or phrase that triggers calm and confidence. After completing a small task, consciously celebrate, even mentally. The subconscious records reinforcement more effectively than punishment. We can also use sensory anchors. Touch, sound, and movement can condition automatic responses. For example, Earl Nightingale suggested that associating a mental state with a specific gesture or phrase strengthens the subconscious link. A simple example: whenever you feel focus and clarity during work, lightly touch your fingers together. Repeat daily. Soon, touching your fingers together can summon the state of focus at will. This is classical conditioning applied to high-performance living. Now, let's combine it all into a practical weekly plan. Morning: one short ritual, posture, breathing, visualization. Speak one empowering affirmation aloud while engaging sensory cues. Daytime: catch negative loops, replace with positive internal dialogue. Use micro-actions to reinforce new beliefs. Evening: 5-minute visualization of next day's small victories. Record experiences in a journal, actions, emotions, progress. Overnight: let sleep encode the images and intentions. Don't overthink, the subconscious does the heavy lifting. Here's a crucial insight. Your subconscious works on bias, not perfection. It will always default to the most frequent emotionally charged patterns it has learned. That's why repetition is key. Even small, consistent practices create bigger internal shifts than massive efforts done sporadically. You're not trying to force the subconscious. You're teaching it, nudging it, creating repeated evidence of a new reality. Resistance will appear. Old habits, automatic fears, and lingering limiting beliefs will push back. You'll feel mental friction, boredom, even subtle self-sabotage. Don't negotiate extensively, simply act. Small, consistent actions paired with visualization, emotional intensity, and environmental alignment override the old patterns over time. Persistence is the hidden multiplier that most people ignore. Remember this: you are the engineer of your internal environment. Rituals, sleep, cues, micro-actions, and sensory anchors are your tools. Combine them with vivid imagery, emotional intensity, and daily reinforcement, and your subconscious stops being an invisible obstacle. It becomes your most reliable ally. You're not fighting it. You're programming it, layer by layer, until it serves your goals automatically. By the end of this week, if you follow the structure, you'll notice subtle changes: automatic confidence, better focus, smoother decision-making, and less internal resistance. The subconscious has begun adapting to the new inputs. Small victories will compound into patterns that feel effortless because you fed your system what it needs: clarity, emotion, and repetition. Next, in the final part, we'll explore integration, handling resistance long-term, and creating a system where the subconscious not only responds to your intentions, but accelerates your growth. We'll cover 30 and 90-day strategies, feedback loops, and methods to make transformation permanent, so you can operate at a high level without thinking about every action. You'll emerge not just trained, but transformed. Your subconscious aligned, your habits automated, your life intentional. Part 5. Now we arrive at the final stage: integration. You've learned how to observe, visualize, reprogram, and reinforce. You've experimented with microactions, rituals, and sensory anchors. But lasting change doesn't happen in bursts. It happens through systems. The subconscious thrives on structure, feedback, and repetition. Without integration, old patterns creep back in, subtle and insidious. Resistance is inevitable, but with the right framework, it becomes manageable rather than destructive. First, let's acknowledge resistance. Your subconscious will test every new program. Old habits, fears, and default thoughts will return, often disguised as logical reasoning or caution. Expect it. Don't fight emotionally. Act strategically. Create deliberate feedback loops. Track behavior, note patterns, and celebrate victories. Each small action reinforcing a new belief strengthens the pathway, making deviation less likely. The subconscious responds to evidence, not intentions. Develop a 30-day strategy first. Focus on micro practices daily. Morning visualization and affirmation, midday dialogue check and micro-action execution, evening reflection and journaling. After 30 days, review. What's working? What feels natural? What triggers old patterns? Adjust accordingly. The key here is measurement and adjustment. The subconscious doesn't judge, it responds to repetition and reinforcement. This simple, structured system ensures that new patterns dominate the mental landscape. Next, extend to 90 days. This is where consolidation happens. Continue micro-actions, visualizations, and anchoring. Introduce layered complexity, longer visualizations, bigger micro-actions, more challenging micro-experiments. By now, the subconscious has more data points confirming the new default state. You'll notice automatic confidence, intuitive decision-making, and natural alignment with your goals. The old self doesn't disappear overnight. It gets overridden by consistent, reinforced patterns. Annual integration ensures permanence. Your subconscious is now primed for growth. Continue daily micro-actions, but layer in reflection, assessment, and adaptation. Check your environment, your relationships, and your routines. Are they still reinforcing the desired patterns? Surround yourself with cues, people, and structures that signal the subconscious focus, growth, resilience, and excellence. This is how high performers maintain momentum for years without constant conscious effort. Here's a practical tool, the accountability triad. Pick one or two people, a journal or a digital tracker, commit publicly to one micro-habit or belief reinforcement practice. The subconscious absorbs social proof and accountability signals powerfully. What you do consistently, seen or tracked, gains permanence. Feedback, no matter how small, solidifies the new program. Integration also requires forgiveness. Old patterns will emerge, mistakes will happen. Don't berate yourself. Observe, correct, and continue. This is the cycle of mastery. Notice, adjust, repeat. Each misstep is data for the subconscious, not proof of inadequacy. Napoleon Hill emphasized persistence. Earl Nightingale reminded us, don't let the opinions of others override your own inner compass. Use mistakes as calibration points. Combine this with environmental mastery. Your environment are silent teachers. Organize your space, limit distractions, and create triggers that signal desired mental states. Posture, cues, rituals, and micro-actions all communicate with your subconscious continuously. Align them to reinforce new programs. Over time, external signals automatically produce internal states without conscious effort. Finally, let's address the mindset shift. Your subconscious, once aligned, is not just reactive, it becomes proactive. It scans for opportunities, nudges behavior, and filters inputs. You're no longer fighting your own mind, you're leveraging it. The daily effort becomes effortless because your operating system now serves your goals. You move with flow, clarity, and precision. Dale Carnegie highlighted the power of consistent positive reinforcement in shaping perception. Apply it internally, and the world responds. Here's the ultimate truth. Mastery of the subconscious is the foundation of all success. Every skill, relationship, habit, or achievement flows from it. By deliberately shaping thoughts, beliefs, imagery, emotions, rituals, and environment, you design your inner landscape. The outer world is simply a reflection. The person you want to become is already encoded in your subconscious. Your job is to feed it, reinforce it, and act in alignment with it consistently. Take action now. Review your journal and patterns. Reinforce one core belief with visualization, emotion, and micro-actions. Align at least one environmental cue to this belief. Repeat, iterate, and expand. In months, you'll notice automatic excellence. In years, mastery becomes identity. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the engineer, programmer, and operator of your mind. Use these tools. Treat your subconscious as the ally it is, and your life will inevitably reflect your design. Now, take this energy, put it into practice, and watch your reality shift. Your subconscious is listening. Make sure it hears exactly what you intend. If this video gave you insight and actionable steps, hit subscribe to follow the journey and like the video to signal that you're ready to take control of your subconscious and design your life deliberately.